throw this out. Okay, so we're starting on our backs. And again, I'm going to kind of play with a little bit with my blanket and my blocks a little bit. So I'm just going to have the blanket underneath my head as just like a little pillow. And go ahead and stretch out nice and long here at first. Let your back arch, your ribs open up. Take a nice big deep inhale in through your nose. Big exhale out through your mouth. Inhale in. Big exhale out through your mouth. Start to let your body soften. Inhaling in. Big exhale out. And then we'll slowly start to plant our feet on the ground. So knees are bent. Okay. I'm going to bring my hands to the tips of my hips. Okay, so like the front of my hip bones. And my thumbs are going to reach towards the bottom part of my rib cage. Okay, so I just want you to place your hands, kind of similar, like, on your abdominals, just so you are aware of what your pelvis is doing and what your ribs are doing. Okay. And we're going to slowly just start to march here. Okay, so you're just going to lift your right leg up into like tabletop-ish and then lower down. And then lift your left leg up and lower. And just notice, like, are your hips moving? Are your ribs moving? Can you make the space from the tips of your little hip bones and ribs? Can you start to make that space like a little smaller? I think that's the exact language I want to use, but see if you can bring them closer together. Okay, so it's just a slight abdominal engagement. Okay, so you're making that space, I guess, smaller, closing in the space. So your ribs start to soften and maybe come together a little bit, but it's really like you're pressing into the mat, your back space. Okay, this is meant to just support your low back. Meant to engage our abdominals as we just march here, nice and gentle, back and forth. Okay, good. Just do a few more. Again, just nice and slow. And then on your last one, making sure you're nice and even, right and left. You can let your feet separate a little bit more. So maybe they're about as wide as the mat, and we'll do little window wipers again. And again, I'm kind of just keeping my hands just on my abdominals, just so I can kind of notice that midsection, that space, as we move here a little bit from side to side. Okay, awesome. Hugging both knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Rocking from side to side. Knees can be together or they can be separated. So now we're pressing that low back into the mat as we kind of are in this little rounded ball position here. Okay, and then keeping your knees together, we're going to circle the knees around about 3 or 4 times in one direction. You can use your hands. You don't have to use your hands. You can kind of play with, going back and forth. Okay, we'll reverse the circles again about 3 or 4 times in the opposite direction. Okay, great. Okay, then we're going to keep the right knee into our chest. Left leg is going to go out nice and long. And then we're going to continue those circles here. Okay, so again, about 3 or 4 circles in one direction. Take your time. Again, you don't have to use your hands. You can use your hands to help guide that leg around. Good. And then reversing the circles. Okay, good. Okay, and then give that right knee a nice little hug in that like neutral position. Okay, just breathe. Okay. Let that right knee gently move a little bit more over to the right. So it's moving towards the outside of your right rib cage. So it's almost like a little, half happy baby pose almost, okay? But same here, hug in. See if that changes the stretch. changes the angle on that front right hip flexor. Take a nice big deep inhale in here. Exhale, gently just begin to release, and we're going to bring the right leg across over to the left for a nice gentle twist to start off here. Okay. So it's all about the shoulders and the chest staying grounded onto the mat. Okay. So if that means your knee is lifted, that's fine. Okay. That's great. Okay. Does not have to touch the ground or be anywhere near the ground. It's just all about this chest opening, the right shoulder opening. Maybe you look a little bit over to the right. Good. And just breathe here. Good. Inhale in. Exhale, we'll slowly release, hugging that right knee back into the chest. Okay. And again, keeping it fairly neutral. So, right knee is, kind of going towards your right shoulder here. Okay. Staying here. You're going to press your knee into your hands into your knee. Okay. So you're getting really active, like you're going to break your hands apart with your knee. And when you do that, your low back should press into the mat. If it feels okay, you can lift your head up towards your knee. Nothing else changes. Low back still pressing into the mat, and maybe the left leg hovers up off the mat. So again, just another little core activation here. Again, you can leave the head out, you can leave the leg out. Let's just hold here for another breath. Inhale in, exhale, release. Okay, right foot goes down towards the ground. Okay, right knee stays bent. Left leg is going to kick up 4 times. Okay, so just kicking the leg up and down, 2, good, 3, and 4. Keeping up, we're just going to bend and straighten just about 4 times. Again, just going to loosen up the hamstring. Okay. And then from here, we'll take the left knee into our chest, right leg out nice and long, and then we'll start that series all over again. Okay, so circling the knee and hip in one direction about 4 times. Again, using your hands, not using your hands. Good. 4 times in the opposite direction. Good. Hugging the left knee in towards the chest, pausing for a moment. Good. Left knee moves to the outside of the rib cage. Okay, so just opening the hip up ever so slightly. Pausing, seeing what's changing in the stretch. Maybe feeling a little bit through the right hip flexor. Just breathe. Good. Gently releasing. Okay. And then we're going to come into the twist. So left knee comes across to the right side. Left arm reaches out to the left. And again, gentle twist to start off here. Okay. So again, knee is more than likely lifted. Perfect. Okay. Shoulders are grounding. About the left shoulder, the left side body, feeling this nice big opening space, maybe looking to the left, and then just breathe here. So inhale in, exhale, slowly coming back to the center. Okay, left knee hugs into your chest. Pause for just a moment before we get really active here. Okay, so hands are pressing into the knee. Knee's going to press into the hands. So we find this really big activation. Knee moves away from the body. Good. Low back starts to press into the mat. Maybe your head lifts. Maybe your right leg floats up off the mat. And again, it's just a nice little abdominal contraction here. Okay, breathe. Finding that resistance. Inhale in. Exhale, slowly release back down, lowering your head down. Left foot comes down onto the mat. Left knee stays bent. Right leg's going to kick up 4 times to release those hamstrings. Okay, and again, if knee's bent, that's fine. Don't worry. 3, one more kick, 4, and then we're just going to bend and straighten the leg about 4 times. Good. Again, just releasing that hamstring. Okay, I think I did about 5 on the side. Okay, good. Lower the feet back down towards the ground. Okay, this is where I'm gonna grab my block, or you can use a pillow, or you don't have to use it at all, okay? We're gonna set up for bridge pose, okay? So we're gonna place the block just between the thighs, the inner thighs here. Just make sure the block's not on by your knee joint. You want it up a little bit higher, okay? And then see if you can bring your heels in close enough that your fingertips can touch your heels. Okay, ground down through your feet. Inhale, lift your hips up towards the sky. Okay? And then again, we're going to check in with that point of the top of the hips and the rib cage. Okay, so notice how big the space is. Are you really arching your back? Ribs are open. See if you can close this space off a little bit. Okay, so we're going to make it nice and strong. The ribs are knitted in. Okay, so we're more like at a long diagonal than like huge like bridge pose back bend. Okay, so just stay here. Hands can be down, or again, if you want to keep your hands near your abdominals, that's fine. Okay, just I'm doing it as a nice little reminder. Okay, from here, toes can lift. You're going to ground your heels into the mat. Keep squeezing your inner thighs in. Ground the toes, lower the hips down towards the ground. Okay, we're just going to do that 2 more times, nice and controlled. Okay, ground through the feet, squeeze the block, lift the hips. Okay, and then notice right away if you want to kind of like arch your back, open the ribs. Okay, we're going to close that space off. We're going to get the hip points and the rib tips to kind of come in a little bit closer to one another. Good. So a little bit more controlled, a little more hamstring, a little more glute. Toes will lift. Woo, really activating those hamstrings. Good. Breathing here. Good. Take a nice big deep inhale in. Exhale, release, lower, back down. Woo. Okay, one more time, nice and controlled like that. Hips lift, round through the feet, squeeze the blocks. Ribs and hips slightly come together, this middle space. Okay, so we're nice and strong, inner core. Think about your energy moving out through your kneecaps. Okay, toes lift up, keep breathing. See if you can lift your hips up a little bit higher. See if you can squeeze the block just a little bit more. Inhale in, exhale, lower back down. Woo, nice and slow. Remove that block. Okay, little window wipers here. Again, these can be little baby ones. Okay. Okay, great. And then for this next round of just, warming up the core and the legs, okay, we're going to widen our feet out. Again, this is a general cue, about as wide as your mat, okay, or as wide as your hips are a little wider. Toes are going to slightly turn out, just ever so slightly, okay? So kind of making a little baby V position here. And of course, knees are going to follow, okay? So you want your knees going the direction of your toes. We're going to come into bridge pose here in this wide stance, okay? Inhale, hips lift up high. Okay, this time you can kind of let everything open up a little bit more. Okay, let's walk those shoulder blades underneath us. Maybe interlace your hands, maybe not. Maybe you like that little more condensed feeling of the ribs and the hips coming together. You can also practice that, or again, you can open up a little bit more. From here, toes are going to lift again. And just breathe, and again, feel those hamstrings really kick in when the toes lift. Easy. Inhale in. Exhale, ground the toes. Lift the hips up a little bit higher. Inhale in. Exhale, lower back down. Nice and slow. Okay, and again, 2 more times just like that. Inhaling, ground through the feet. Lift the hips up. Good. Walk the shoulder blades underneath you. And again, make sure your knees are moving out ever so slightly. Toes lift. Again, get those hammies to kick in. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Inhale in, ground the toes on your exhale. Lift the hips up a little bit higher. Inhale in. Exhale, release the hips back down, nice and slow. Last one. Inhaling, lift the hips up, ground through the feet. Walk the shoulder blades underneath you. Puff up your chest a little bit more. Lift the toes up. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, ground the toes. Lift the hips up a little bit higher on the inhale. Exhaling, lowering the hips right back down. Woo! And then again, little small window wipers here. Just nice and gentle. All right. Okay, great. From here, we're going to roll over onto our right side. We're just going to come up onto our right forearm. Okay. Knees and hips are going to be stacked. Knees can be pointed forward here, like little 90 degrees. Actually, I do have my heels in line with my hips. Okay, so I lied. Okay, heels in line with your hips, knees point forward. This can also be done with your arm under your head as a pillow. Okay, so you can choose what feels good for you. Okay, so we're gonna kind of sit with this like little theme of like some hip circles just to help stabilize us. So we're gonna lift the top leg completely up, and then we'll do about 3 or 4 circles in one direction. Okay. And then we'll reverse again, about 3 or 4 circles in the opposite direction. Okay, we're going to keep the left leg, top leg floating. Okay, knee up, toes down. Okay, and then knee down, toes up. Okay, we're just going to kind of float back like this, back and forth. We're just going to do 5 of these. Okay, nothing too crazy. I just kind of want to get the hips going to help loosen up the hamstrings, the hips, and the low back. Okay, okay, let's do one more. I think that was about 5. Okay, good. Okay, and then from here, you're gonna lower your top leg down. Now we're gonna bump the knees back so they're in line with the hips. Okay, for our side Sphinx pose. Okay, so we're gonna set ourselves up here, grounding down to that right forearm, sitting up nice and tall. Legs can stay exactly how they are, or you can straighten them out. And again, for just like a little side seal or side Sphinx, or a little side bend here, okay, and just breathe. Okay. And again, I know it's really hard. I even have this habit. I'm looking down at my watch to kind of time us a little bit here, okay? But see if you can shift your gaze forward and then kind of like through your chin in towards, your neck and your chest a little bit, so your head is in line with your spine, okay? Just a few more moments. Okay, we want to make sure we're nice and even on this side for the second side. You can always extend the right arm if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, or if that feels better for you. Okay. Gently start to bend into the right arm if it was straight. Okay. We're going to make our way onto our stomach for Sphinx pose. Okay. So you can just gently kind of roll out of this however you need to. Okay. And setting yourselves up on forearms, pressing down, lifting up. Okay, feet and legs can be a little bit wider. They do not have to be together. Now we're going to just look back towards our toes. You're going to look to one side and the other. Just going to go back and forth and see if you can, really look back and almost see your feet. Okay. Or if you can see your feet, that's awesome. Okay. See your toes, see your heels, see your legs. Just looking back and forth. So we're finding a little bit more movement in that upper body a little bit. One more on each side, looking from side to side. Okay. Come into neutral. Inhale in. Exhale, gently release. Okay. From here, we're just going to roll over onto the left side to do the same thing that we just did. Okay. So I'm just going to flip around to stay facing you all. Okay, so we're going to set ourselves up on our left forearm, or again, pillow, knees are stacked, heels are in line with your hips. Okay, sitting up nice and tall here. And again, just being mindful, like if you're sinking, are you pressing the floor away? Okay, top leg floats, and then we'll circle the leg around about 3 or 4 times. Reverse the circle. Okay, good. And then we'll do about our 5 little floating legs. Okay, so leg stays floated. Knee up, toes down, knee down, toes up. Okay, so we have that external rotation, internal rotation, good. External and internal, good. All right, just one more. Knee up, toes down, knee down, toes up. Awesome, lowering that leg down and then bumping the knees back in line with your hips for side thinks. Okay, then again, you can stay here. Sometimes when I do this stretch and practice like in the morning, this is like as far as I can go. Sometimes I can straighten the arm out, but it'll be a little bit lower. Like you can kind of see like I'm almost on the ground here. It won't be up as high. So again, kind of just choose what feels good for you, especially if your low back is feeling sensitive. You know, stay with the knees bent for sure. Okay. And keeping everything in a line. Okay. Gently shift your head back, look forward. Okay. Resist the urge to want to look down. Just breathe. I can already tell what side is tighter than the other. Just observing the body. Okay. Last breath in. Big exhale out. Okay, and then we're going to come out of it back into that Sphinx pose. Okay, so just take your time, lowering down as you need to. You can always take a break if you need to lower all the way down. That's fine. Okay, we'll meet back in Sphinx. Good. Again, arms can be separated, or you can have your hands interlace. Go ahead, just pausing here. Inhale in, exhale, lower down. Tucking the toes under, planting the hands under the shoulders or a little bit farther back. Press up into tabletop, so take your time. Pressing on up, walking the knees underneath your hips, spreading the fingers out nice and wide. We'll do a nice gentle round of cat and cow here. Connecting your breath with your movement. Okay, good. And then coming into neutral tabletop. Okay, and before becoming the downward dog, we'll do one more hip circles. Okay, right leg is going to reach back behind us. Let's rock forward and backwards just a few times here. Just straighten out that leg. Okay, good. Shoulders over the wrist as best as you can. Right leg floats. We'll bend the right knee and then we'll do hip circles here. Again, just about 4 circles in one direction. Okay, moving really slow here. If you want to challenge your balance, left arm can come across to your abdominals. Okay, if you want to balance, good. And then we'll reverse the circle. Again, it's not necessary. Kind of just check out how you're feeling. Good. 2 more circles. 3. Good. And 4. Good. And then re-straighten that right leg all the way out, nice and long, toes down, heel up. And if you haven't already, see if you can stretch that left arm forward over your head a little bit here. Okay. Bring your balance. Take a nice big deep inhale in. Exhale, lower everything down. We'll switch sides. Left leg reaches back, rocking forward and backwards a few times. Good. Shoulders over the wrists. Left leg floats. Good. Toes down, heel up, and then we're going to bend that knee and then 4 circles in one direction. Again, if you want to play with your balance, right hand can come across to your abdominals. Reversing the circle, 4 in the opposite direction. 1. Good. Nice and slow. 2. 3. And 4, re-extending that left leg out nice and long. And again, readjust, toes down, heel up. Right arm is going to reach forward, over your head, balancing. Inhale in, exhale, lower everything down. And then slowly just begin to adjust as you need to come into downward facing dog. Okay, and as you're in your downward dog, definitely feel free to pedal your feet, sway your hips from side to side. Okay, and I talked a little bit about finding some groundedness in our practice and also some cooling ideas. Okay, so here, just notice like what are you using too much of? What can you use less of? How can you deepen your breath and find ways to make this practice feel, again, to make it feel grounded, to make it feel rejuvenating. Maybe you're exhaling out through your mouth. Okay, good. We're going to bend our knees. We're going to gently walk our hands back towards our feet. Okay. We're going to get to the back of our mat. We're going to bend our knees a lot. We're going to place our forearms on top of our quads. So we're coming into like nice little flat back. Okay, little baby chair pose. Okay, but we're assisting ourselves with our forearms. Okay, so we want to press out of our shoulders, out of our elbows, I should say. Okay, and then we're just gonna, do a little bouncy bounce and straighten the legs. And again, straighten is also means bent. Okay, and we're just doing this bounce, bend, straighten. Really is what it is. Okay, bend, straighten, just to, again, to loosen up the hamstrings. Okay, so we're just gonna bend the knees a few times, straighten the legs, keeping the spine as long as we can, keeping those forearms and elbows connected to the quads. Good. Again, the legs may not straighten completely, and that's okay. This is all about strengthening our hamstrings and stretching them in a really kind, nice way for our body. Okay, let's just do that a few more times. It feels so good. Actually, I feel like this really helps support my low back too when I have some back pain. Okay, last one. We'll straighten the legs. We'll lower the arms down. Release the head, neck, and shoulders. If you want to sway the hips and release the hands behind the back, or grab on opposite elbows, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Okay, good. So now we get to be in this holding of the hamstring stretch rather than active hamstring stretch. Release your arms down. Bend the knees to slowly roll up to come way up to standing. Take your time. Let your head be the last thing that arrives. Arms reach up over your head. Exhaling, hands at your heart center. We're just going to slowly walk mindfully up to the top of your mat. So nice and slow. Okay, good. Really nice, everyone. Okay, we're just going to do just a round of moon salutes. Okay, and again, remember you can skip downward dogs. You can go into child's pose. Okay, think about ways to make yourself feel grounded, and it can be ways that I'm not guiding you in the practice. Okay, that's okay, because it's all about you listening to what you need. Okay, so from here, rooting down through your feet, roll your shoulders back. Inhaling, arms reach up over your head. Exhaling, folding forward however you need to, even if it's, you gotta crawl down, it's fine. Okay, fold forward. Right leg is going to step back behind us, coming into low lunge. So again, this is where you want to use any of the props under your knees. Okay, we're coming to low lunge, so just sliding a blanket under my knees. Arms reach up over your head when you're ready, or again, any variation you want to take. Soften the shoulders. Okay, let's think about the rib tips and the hip tips coming a little bit closer together. Okay, so we're not getting super bendy. We want to get really strong in our core here. So see if you can bring those slightly together. Breathe. Shift your gaze up ever so slightly. Take a nice big deep inhale. Exhale, hands are going to lower down. We'll tuck those back toes under if they're not already. Stepping back, plank pose your way. Okay, plank can be straight legs. It can also be bent knees. Okay. Lowering down with control, nice strong push up. Again, straight legs, bent knees. We'll come up into your choice of back bend, cobra, Sphinx pose. I'm doing a little baby cobra here. Good. Upward facing dog. Only when you feel ready. Inhale in. Slide the shoulders back just a little bit more. Exhaling, releasing to come back through downward facing dog, or again, child's pose. Okay? Yeah, that's options. So pretty much vinyasa your way. Pause for a moment. Check out your breath. Right leg lifts. And see if you can spin those toes down, heel up, same way we did in our tabletop. Right leg steps forward, low lunge, okay? And you can guide your, leg there however you need to. Back knee lowers, arms reach up over your head when you're ready. Nice big deep lunge here. Rib tips, hip tips, okay? Slightly come together. A little control, okay, a little stabilization. See if you can lengthen out of your low back a little bit more. Drop the shoulders down. Shift your gaze up ever so slightly. A few more deep breaths here. Good. Inhale in. Exhale, hands lower down. Again, back toes tucked under. We're going to step forward this time. Forward fold. Okay, so however you need to get there, take your time. Forward fold. Bending the knees to slowly roll up to come all the way up to standing. Arms reach up over your head. Exhaling, hands at your heart center. Last one. Okay, inhaling, arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward, forward fold. Left leg steps back this time, low lunge. And again, as many steps as you need to get into your low lunge, okay? Lots of different ways. Move in a way that feels good to you. Arms will reach up over your head when you're ready. Okay, putting everything together. Check out those ribs and hips, okay? So you can close this abdominal space up just a little bit, okay? Keep your spine nice and long. Bend deeper into the right knee. Drop the shoulders down a little bit more. Gaze up ever so slightly. Even with it feeling grounded, a little more controlled, can you do less? Can you breathe more? Good. Inhale in. Exhale, hands release, stepping back, plank your way. Inhale in, exhale, lowering down with control, coming into cobra, upward facing dog, Sphinx pose. Okay, whatever back bend feels good for you now. And then we'll all meet back again. Downward dog, child's pose, tabletop is also an option. Breathe here. Last sun salute, okay? Or moon salute, I should say. Left leg lifts up. Good. Toes down, heel up. Try to keep that leg as parallel as possible. Left foot steps forward, low lunge. Back knee lowers. Dip the hips, roll the shoulders, lift the chest and the heart. Stay for a moment. Okay, and we're going to gather in. Rib tips, hip tips come together. Lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders, soften your gaze, shift your gaze up ever so slightly. Breathe here. See if you can bend into the left knee a little bit more, keeping all of this contained through the midsection, the core. Inhale in. Exhale, hands release, stepping forward, forward fold. Take your time. Okay. I'm just moving my blanket out of the way now here, okay? We're gonna slowly roll up to come up to standing. Nice and slow. Okay, good. From here, let's go ahead and just step out nice and wide along our mat. Okay, I'm going to take my block, just have it in the middle here. Toes in, heels out, shoulders roll back. See if you can point your, we're talking about all the little hips and tips here, okay? Elbow tips, see if you can shoot them back, okay? Roll the shoulders up and back also, okay? Good, ground down through your feet, rise up a little bit more. Slowly start to fold forward halfway, okay? So we're gonna lower down, flat back. Lots of control here, pause halfway. Shift your weight towards the balls of your feet. Scary, I know. Inhale in, exhale, slowly release your head down. See if you can keep your hands on your hips for just a moment. Inhale in, exhale, release the hands under the shoulders. And then this is where my hamstrings have been a little bit tight, so my head doesn't touch the ground quite yet. So I'm just going to use a block to go under my head for the grounding sensation here, which is actually pretty cooling, believe it or not. Okay, so if you need to use 2 blocks, whatever height, you'll just slide. Sorry, I know I have my ponytail on the way here. Just slide it under your head so the crown of your head touches the block, and then keep your hands grounding under your shoulders. Okay. Again, it can be whatever height. It may be 2 blocks stacked up, couple pillows, that's fine. Okay, good. Just breathe here. And remember, the wider your legs are, the closer to the ground you get. Okay, so you notice if your stance is maybe too narrow, like under the shoulders or under the hips, just move your feet out a little bit wider and your head will get closer to the ground. Okay, a few more deep breaths. Inhale in, exhale, hands on your hips. Okay, gather again those elbows to point up towards the sky, ground through your feet. Inhale, slowly rise back up with a flat back. Again, go nice and slow, take your time. Okay, good. Okay, let's just go ahead and kind of walk the feet in, heel toe them in, nice and slow. Okay, shake your legs out. Okay, awesome. Okay, we're gonna come into tree pose. Okay. You know, I didn't plan on doing this with the block, but if you want to do tree pose on the block, you can. Okay, since my block is here, I'll do it with the block. Okay, so I'm gonna place the block on the flattest level, the lowest level. Okay, I'm gonna take my left foot and I'm gonna step up onto the block. And again, this is totally optional. You can do it on the ground. Okay, I'm taking the opportunity while it's here. Okay. So you're just going to straighten this left leg. You're going to probably lift up onto those right tippy toes. You're just going to turn your knee out ever so slightly. And it works best, you know, if your feet are really big, you might need 2 blocks. Just make sure your toes aren't gripping the block. Okay, you want your foot to be nice and flat. Okay, good. Right knee moves out to the right. See, again, if you can lift up out of your hips, rib tips, hip tips come together. Okay, and then maybe your right foot slowly comes to your ankle. Okay, or you can stay on the ground, it's fine, okay? Try not to let your eyes shift around. It's really important that you keep your gaze in one spot, especially if you are on the block. And lengthen a little bit more through your spine so you're not sinking into your left leg or hip, right? We want to keep lifting, rooting down, rising up. Hands can stay on your hips or at your heart center, or if you'd like, you can reach them out to the sides, palms up, and then slowly reach your arms up over your head. Breathing, being patient, wobbling, shaking, those are all amazing things, good qualities. Okay, that means you're building strength. Slowly start to bring your hands back to your heart center. Lower the right foot down nice and slow. Then the left foot off of the blocks, okay? And then just take a moment and kind of shake your legs out. And just stand in mountain pose. Feet can be hip distance apart or together. Okay, arms just down by your side. Think about your fingertips shooting down towards the ground. Okay, good. And we're just going to move to the second side. Okay. Again, blocks are totally optional. Okay. And I'm actually using 2 blocks now because my toes were kind of creeping over the edge of my block. Okay. So now I have lots of space. So again, you feel free to double up your blocks here. Okay. So you have a little more of a platform. We'll ground through the right foot. Okay. We'll straighten the right leg. Right. So we come up onto our left tippy toes. And then our leg just slowly just rotates just a little bit off to the side. And again, you still want to keep your hip points facing forward, even with the leg rotating out. Okay, so hips stay square, the leg just rotates out, and then placing your foot anywhere above or below your knee joint. Okay, and then rib tips, hip tips come together. Nice strong core. Lengthen out of this right leg. Lengthen your spine. Breathe. And again, nice soft gaze wherever you're looking. Good. Staying where you are. Maybe you start to move your arms. Arms can move out to the sides. Palms face up. Arms can reach up over your head. Soften the shoulders. Breathe. Beautiful. Hands slowly come back to your heart center. Ooh, gently start to release that left leg. Release the right foot. Shake your legs out. Good. Again, just stand in mountain pose. Okay. Arms down by your side. Roll the shoulders back. Bring your hands together at your heart center. Inhale in, big exhale out. Okay, good. Just a few more standing postures. Okay. Take your block with your, have your blocks at either end of the mat. Okay, we're going to come into a triangle pose on the right side. Okay, so again, legs out nice and wide. We'll turn the right toes out or forward towards the top of your mat. Okay, left foot, turns in ever so slightly. Okay, we're gonna bend, take a few bends in this right leg first. So like we're coming into warrior 2, just to loosen up the legs a little bit, okay? Okay, good. And then we're gonna straighten the right leg, arms out nice and wide. And I have the block in my right hand, okay? Or you can set it up behind your right foot. We're gonna lengthen the right arm out, okay? Lower the block behind our right leg, so behind our foot, okay? Stay on the highest level here at first, okay? Bring your left hand to your hip, roll this left shoulder back, okay? And then just like our side phoenix pose, see if you can find a little bit more length through this right side and the left side. Okay, I'm even lifted up on my fingertips on the highest level here. Think about your hips moving forward, your head moving back. Like you're gonna press up against the wall. And then if this feels okay, maybe the left arm floats up towards the sky. Okay. Yeah, just breathe here. Notice if you're locking the right knee out, micro bend in the right knee. If you want to move a little lower, you can, but do not compromise the lengthening of this right side body, okay? And again, block is optional. You can also bring your fingertips onto your shin. Okay? So just breathe here. Good. Ribs and the hips coming closer to one another. Finding that core strength. Take a nice big deep inhale. The only thing that changes is the right knee. The right knee is going to begin to bend. Okay, hand can stay on the block, or you can bring your right forearm onto your right quad. Okay. My shoulder and neck are getting a little tired, so I'm going to drop my left arm down by my side. I'm going to turn my focus down towards the ground. Okay, and then keep rolling this left shoulder back. And then think about your left fingertips moving towards your left heel. Okay, so you're getting lots of energy through that opposite side here. Okay, good. A few more deep breaths in. Okay, if you're like, yes, my arm and shoulder feel better now. Now you can bring that left arm up over your head, out by your ear, and then you can turn your focus towards the screen or up towards the sky. We're just going to say for a few more deep breaths, whatever position you're in. Inhale in, exhale out. Last one. Inhale in, exhale, release. Warrior two. Straighten the right leg. Turn the right toes in. And we're going to move to the left side. Okay, so left toes turn out. We're going to bend and straighten a few times. And as I'm kind of loosening things up, I'm going to place the block just behind the left foot, left leg on the highest level. And then we'll straighten the left leg, arms out nice and wide, lengthening. Okay, check out those side bodies, ribs and hips. Okay, nice strong core. Left hand lowers down, right hand onto the hip. Roll the right shoulder back, and then think about your hips. Instead of moving back, you want to move them forward. Okay, towards me, your head back towards the back wall or space behind you. Good. Micro bend in the left knee, then maybe the right arm floats up towards the sky. Good. And again, you can stay up on your fingertips, you can ground your hand, you can lower the block. You know, I'm personally working on this space, my core space to protect my low back. Okay, so again, ribs and hips. Okay, so don't think about perching. We want to bring all of this core nice and strong together and then find mobility in that core strength. Okay, so again, close the bottom ribs up. Keep breathing. A few more deep breaths. The only thing that changes is the legs. Left knee bends, extended side angle. Left forearm can come on top of the quad if you'd like. And if you need a little break for your head, neck, and shoulders, right arm can reach down towards your right leg. Fingertips shoot towards your right heel, and then focus can be down towards the ground. Good. Check out this left knee. Is it pointing to the left, to the right? Can you see if you can direct your knee on top of your ankle and towards your second or third toe? When you're ready, your right arm can reach up over your head, extending the angle. Okay, we're just going to stay for 2 deep breaths here. Inhaling in, exhaling out. Strong core. Inhale in, rib tips, hip tips. Exhale out. Warrior two. Cartwheel the hands around that left leg. Okay, last one here, downward facing dog. Taking a nice little break. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, go for it. For me, I am getting pretty hot and I'm getting kind of sweaty. So I'm going to take this time to cool myself down here in downward facing dog. Making this cooling and grounding. Okay. Last few things, pigeon pose. Right knee come towards your right wrist. Again, I'm going to use my blanket. Again, this is totally optional. I'm going to slide it. So I have my blanket folded in half, like along like a big stick of gum here, a big stick of gum. Okay. Again, you can use your blocks. I'm going to slide my blanket under so it's under both of my hips. Okay. So my right hip and my front of my left hip will be supported by the blanket. Okay. It's very small, but goes a long way. And then blocks, I'm gonna just use one block under my forehead, but again, feel free to place one under your chest and your forehead. And again, you know, if you're using your blocks under your hips, you can slide it under that right hip, okay? Good, okay, so just breathe here. In your pigeon pose, okay? Finding ways to release, ways to relax. Allowing yourself to cool down in pigeon. Can you soften your shoulders a little bit more? Okay, last moments here, and this is totally optional, okay? You're gonna just stay in your pigeon, okay? Sleepy pigeon, or you can be lifted, but we're just gonna take this back leg and we're just gonna bend it and straighten it a few times, okay? Again, kind of like, again, like a little bit of the theme of what we did in class, okay, to loosen up the hamstrings, but this one is loosening up the quads a little bit, okay? Doesn't have to be anything crazy, so just bend and straighten. Ooh, definitely changes the glute stretch, that's for sure. Okay, and then go ahead and straighten the leg. You'll walk your hands underneath you. And we're going to just switch to the second side however you want to, okay? So you can come through, again, vinyasa, you can hold plank, child's pose, downward facing dog. Okay, lots of options. Thinking of ways to feel grounded and rooted. Okay, left leg's gonna come towards your left wrist. And again, using any props you wish. And again, I'm just using the blanket. And as you can see on this side, you can kind of see how the blanket's supporting the right hip for me, the front of the right hip. Okay. And then again, lowering down as you'd like. Just holding and breathing. And know that this side may need something different. You may need more support. Okay. Yeah. So whatever the side's asking for, do it. Doesn't have to be perfectly even. And just finding ways to do less, ways to breathe more, ways to release more. Okay. Okay, a few final moments left here. And again, this is absolutely optional. Okay. You can rise up, you can stay where you are, but we're just going to take the back leg and we're just going to bend it and straighten it a few times. Okay, don't go crazy. I know it's sometimes like in a weird position with the knee. Okay, so if just holding it feels better, just hold it in, okay? Or if you did it and you're like, no, then don't do it. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, good. And then slowly just begin to release. Okay, we're gonna meet a seated position. Okay, so wherever you would like to get there. Okay, downward dog. Just swinging your leg around. Okay, and again, I'm going to kind of keep my blanket kind of rolled up here. Again, sit on blocks or a pillow. I'm going to sit on this side. And I'm just going to take a sip of water really quick. You're welcome to do the same thing. Okay. Okay, so breathing exercise is a cooling breathing exercise. And again, we're obviously, we're practicing, our asana, our yoga practice. So, sitting in the comfortable, seated position, knees, an easy pose is fine, but you are welcome to, practice this driving, sitting at your desk. If you're in a hot space, you're welcome to practice this as well too. Okay, so 2 options. We are going to breathe in through the nose, and we're going to exhale out through the mouth. The breathing exercise is rolling your tongue like a taco tongue. Okay, and you're going to exhale out through your taco tongue. Okay, if you cannot do taco tongue, that is okay. You're going to pretend that you have a straw. Okay, and so you're just going to kind of, purse your lips, kind of make a little straw shape with your mouth. And you're going to exhale out through your mouth like you're exhaling out through a straw. Okay, that way. Okay, and you can kind of alternate back and forth. Your, taco tongue doesn't feel good. Okay, you can exhale out that way like you're whistling or, sipping a straw out of a drink. Okay. Okay, so I had to get up really up close and personal for that last one. Okay, so to start off with, let's inhale in through the nose, big exhale out through the mouth. Inhale in through the nose. Let's exhale out through the mouth one more time. This next one, inhale in, and then a softer exhale out through the mouth. Okay. Inhaling in through the nose, holding your tongue or pursing your lips together. We're going to exhale out through our mouth. And just finding the pattern. So slow your breath down on your inhale and exhaling out again through your tongue or your lips. Okay, last 2 breaths. Just allow your breath to go back So just its natural rhythm, not thinking about it being controlled or how you're inhaling or how you're exhaling, just allow yourself to be. Slowly just come into a very short shavasana. Okay, so just like in that spirit of like cooling down and moving mindfully, just take your time, use any props you'd like for shavasana. And again, I'm just gonna take my blanket and slide it under my knees. You're welcome to do that with pillows or your blocks as well. Arms can be down by your sides, palms up or palms down. Or hands can be touching your body, your ribs, your core space. Gently shift your head from side to side. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Slowly stretching your arms up over your head. Gathering your knees into your chest for a nice big hug, or maybe even a little happy baby pose. Oh, yeah, that feels pretty good actually. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release that and roll over onto your side. Pause for a moment. And then using your arms and your legs to help you come on up to a seated position. Bringing your hands together at your heart center. Take a nice big deep inhale in through your nose. Big exhale out through your mouth. And slowly just begin to smile in honor of your practice. Namaste, everyone.